When you're trying to break into commercial real estate, one of the biggest decisions you'll need to make is the property type you want to focus on and where you want to specialize. And while you can find successful people in every sector of this industry, the reality is that market conditions, transaction volumes, and hiring trends can vary a lot between different asset classes. So in this video, we'll break down the main things that I would consider if I were deciding where to start my career in commercial real estate today, and what makes each of these paths attractive for people breaking into the industry. So the first part of the industry I want to talk about is the office sector, and this could be a really good place to start out for a few main reasons. And the first is that because the office sector has gotten so much negative publicity over the last few years, this has turned into one of the least popular product types for people trying to break into commercial real estate. And this means that while you might be up against hundreds of other applicants for analyst roles at companies focused on the multifamily or industrial sectors, for example, you'll very likely be up against a much smaller pool of applicants for office-focused positions, which can be a great way to increase the odds that you'll land an offer quickly. Office is also a property type that's seeing a huge decline in new construction activity right now, which is very positive news for office owners. And even though the national office vacancy rate is still in the high teens, this is finally trending downward, especially for new product. I would also say that even if you don't plan to stay in the office sector long term, the skills you'll learn in this part of the industry related to commercial lease analysis, tenant site selection, and even working in Argus are all very transferable to other parts of the industry, so this can also give you a lot of optionality when you're ready to move on. If your goal is to work in a major market like New York, San Francisco, or Chicago, targeting jobs in the office sector could be a great way to break into this industry, potentially a lot faster than your peers, while also catching the upswing of the recovery of this asset class. Now, the second property type I want to talk about has been one of the most resilient real estate asset classes over the last few years, and this is retail. Retail is another product type that tends to get very little attention from most people trying to break into this industry today, which can help you land a job more quickly, and with retail having some of the strongest fundamentals of any commercial asset class, there's a ton of potential upside for people starting in the sector. In the US, new retail property completions came in at less than 44% of the 10-year quarterly average in the third quarter of 2025, with retail completions down almost 75% since 2015. And at the same time as new retail product isn't being built, US retail availability rates are already sitting below 5%, and with retail property values up 5.5% over just this last year, according to RCA data, there appears to be a lot more room to run in this part of the industry. I'd also say that retail is one of the most fun parts of the business to be involved with, especially when you're working with stores or restaurants that you recognize or even visit frequently, and retail investors and developers can also make a really substantial impact on entire communities with the projects that they build. And just like what I mentioned about the office sector earlier, retail will also expose you to commercial lease analysis, tenant site selection, and working in Argus, which is all experience that can make you very marketable to companies focused on other commercial asset classes. A lot of new multifamily development also includes a ground floor retail component, so even if you want to transition out of working on commercial assets entirely in the future, this could still give you some very marketable skills when transitioning into the residential sector. If you want to work in a product type with very strong fundamentals, you're naturally interested in retail sales and business operations, and you want to target a less crowded job market overall, the retail sector could definitely be worth considering. Now, the next product type I want to cover is arguably the most popular asset class in this entire industry, and this is multifamily. Multifamily has struggled a lot over the last few years, with record high amounts of new supply being delivered and many investors who finance properties with short-term floating rate debt now running into issues as interest rates have come up. Net absorption of multifamily product also fell by 73% year over year in the third quarter of 2025, down to the lowest levels we've seen in the last 3 years, and multifamily values also dropped by 80 basis points year over year in September, making this the only major asset class to see a negative year-over-year change. Now, with that said, even with these challenges in the background, multifamily still saw the highest investment volume of any product type in this industry by far in the third quarter, with $155 billion of multifamily investment sales closing over the last 12 months. And even though multifamily construction activity is projected to taper off over the next few years, this is nothing close to the level of drop-off we've seen in the office or the retail sectors, and with over 400,000 units expected to be delivered annually from 2026 to 2030, this could also be a great place to look if you want to be involved with new development projects. Working in multifamily will also help you improve your Excel skills, since the vast majority of companies focused on this part of the industry don't use Argus at all. So if you want to avoid digging through complex commercial lease clauses and you want to maximize your options to work in development, the multifamily sector could be a great fit. Now, finally, I want to talk about arguably the strongest performer of any major asset class over the last decade, but also a product type that's starting to run into some major issues today, and this is industrial. Since September of 2015, industrial property values in the US have risen by over 100%, which is more than double the average of all commercial property types during this period. And since 2021, asking rents in this sector have increased across the country by over 50%. However, while this was very good news for industrial owners during this time, this part of the industry has also seen a huge increase in new supply, which has ended up outpacing demand in many US markets. Industrial vacancy rates rose from just over 3% in 2022 to over 7% in Q3 of 2025, and leasing activity in this sector has also fallen by almost 50% over the last 4 years. Industrial is also a relatively dry part of the business, with very little overlap between daily life and the projects you'd be involved with on a day-to-day basis. So this is also something to think about if you're considering this as a long-term career path. Overall, if you want to break into the ground-up development business, or you want to work on one of the most popular product types right now, especially among institutions, with a lot of transaction volume going on in all types of different markets across the country, industrial real estate could be a great place to start. Now, one thing I want to make very clear before wrapping this video up that's even more important than whatever's happening today in each of these sectors is that careers are very long and this industry is very cyclical. And this means that whatever product type is hot today very likely won't be 10 years from now. And if you're only making this decision based on current market conditions, you might be setting yourself up for failure over the long term. The people I've seen become the most successful in this industry are the ones that are willing to double down and spend decades becoming experts in their specific niche. So whatever product type you're excited to become a student of long term is very likely where you'll see the most success over a 20 or 30-year period. And if you're ready to get your career started right now and you want to make sure you have the skills you'll need to pass an Excel modeling exam that might be given to you during the interview process at companies focused on any of these property types, make sure to check out our all-in-one membership training platform, Breaking a CRE Academy. A membership to the Academy will give you instant access to over 120 hours of video training on real estate financial modeling and analysis. You'll get access to hundreds of practice Excel interview exam questions, sample acquisition case studies, and you'll also get access to the Breaking a CRE Analyst Certification exam, which covers topics like real estate pro forma and development modeling, commercial real estate lease modeling, equity waterfall modeling, and many other real estate financial analysis concepts that will help you prove to employers that you have what it takes to tackle the responsibilities of an analyst or associate at a top real estate firm. And if you like this video and you want to see more content on the channel on different real estate asset classes, make sure to hit the like button and let me know. And let me know in the comments which property types you are looking to work in and why. As always, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more videos like this every single week, and I'll see you in the next video.